Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. We are 26 days out from what I think is going to be probably the most interesting fight in a long time. Claressa Shields against Franchon DEZURN. Now, my thing is trying to explore the biggest issue surrounding this fight. There's so many different things, but I think the image with Claressa Shields, one of the most accomplished fighters in boxing history, men or women, yet she remains one of the most controversial figures in the sport. Now, unless you've been sleeping underneath a rock, you'd know what I'm talking about. But I think it's important in talking about this fight and what we can expect from her and Franchon DEZURN to try to understand, it's from the outside looking in, the public behavior between Claressa and fans, social media that supports or does not support these ladies, Claressa, the fight, and the constant confrontation that have shaped fan perception, and just seeing how it's going to impact the overall business, ticket sales, and legacy when the dust settles. Now, let's just be fair. Claressa Shields' resume is untouchable. The 2 gold medals, she's going to make sure that you know that. I think we all know that. 4 undisputed distinctions, 19 world titles. Okay, she's a champion in 5 different weight divisions. We can just stop at the 2 gold medals and just talk about that. 2 gold medals in boxing. It's not 2 gold medals in gymnastics or swimming. It's in boxing, and as a female. That's a big damn deal. And when you watch her, I got to be honest, what can you do? She's moving up and down weight divisions. She's dominating people. She beat everybody who was put in front of her. And if there's no elite depth in weight divisions that she can make, we can't fault her for that. See, this is where you got to be real. People want to say things about Terrence Crawford. Said he cherry-picked. Not his fault. He can only fight who's put in front of him. Some people say Mayweather cherry-picked, which is crazy. Absolutely crazy. So when you sit back here and you take a look at Claressa and what she's done, the same things they say about her, they say about Crawford, they said about Mayweather. But with her, you got, if you're going to sit there and say with the guys, it's wrong for people to say that, you got to say that about Claressa Shields as well. Now, one thing I'll say, a key point, is she's definitely, it's kind of hard to go against, hard to go against her when she starts saying that she's the best female boxer ever. And she, of course, when she says that, she's also looking at her performance as an amateur, as an Olympian, and as a professional. It doesn't matter, right? This is the thing. It doesn't matter if somebody was or was not able to go to the Olympics or not. Now, for a long-winded conversation, we can sit there and we can table those things. But just for talking about what we have in front of us, you got to look at her resume and say, you know what? Her resume is probably one of one. But the thing is, her public image says polarizing. You see, when it comes to the boxing, I just think people forget about the skill that Claressa has, that Franchon has. I think they start looking at making shit a popularity contest. But what you would want is for a fighter to have the skill and the popularity. Fighters need wins. Clarissa has wins. Fighters need fans. Look, Clarissa has fans. Franchon has fans. Franchon has wins. But Clarissa's undefeated. But there needs to be sponsors. There needs to be broadcast appeal. Skill alone does not create stars. Image creates stars. And when you sit back and you start to try to understand image when it comes to these two women, some people have an opinion and say, look, they have the right image. They're doing all the right things. Some people are being unfair to them. Others are going to say, hey, yo, hold your horses. Don't take it to the stupid. Can't come out here, man. And in particular, I've heard about both, which I just think social media is just wild, man. Some people can say, nah, you can't give these women credit for having a good image. And people will list, I'll give you a laundry list of the reasons why they feel that way. Doesn't mean they're right, doesn't mean they're wrong. It's just an opinion. And one thing I know from listening to Franchon and Clarissa talk, they don't really care too much about what people think. They know what they have to do on February 22nd, and they're going to get in the ring and try to prove everybody wrong who has said things about them that they didn't agree with. Now, I will say this, just because fans sit back and say, you know what, we're not so sure about the image of these two, they'll tell you that, you know, we respect what they bring to the ring. We respect what they bring to the ring, but in particular with Clarissa Shields, they don't always like her. They look and say, yo, she speaks aggressively. She responds to critics personally, gets down in the weeds, somewhere she doesn't need to be, she should never, ever go to. And she treats disagreements, difference of opinions, like betrayal. And what this has done is it's created some loyal supporters, but it's equally created very loud critics who don't want to hear it. Because there is a problem with constant conflict. I mean, every single day there can't be something going on. Every single day. And it doesn't matter how innocent any of us on social media think the things we're doing are. If you're out there engaging in negativity, that's going to 9 times out of 10 on social media result in some kind of conflict. Every single day, every single week is going to be some kind of drama. And when you have that, fans start kind of tuning out all of the good things that you may have done or that you are doing, and they're going to start to really looking at you, and everything is going to shift from what you bring to the table as a fighter to now looking at your personality and your attitude. Focus starts moving from skill to behavior. And people realize, holy shit, yo, when it comes to this individual, she is newsworthy. Instead of seeing her for what she should be seen as, legendary. But sometimes we create our own misery. One of the biggest mistakes that's happened, and that's, I think is going to, the conversation is going to flare up a lot during fight week with some of these commentators and guys with YouTube channels and who are going to be doing interviews. I think the Layla Ali, I would say the issue, I think is gonna rear its head again during fight week. Because people know, man, there's a lot of content there when it comes to Clarissa Shields, because she's newsworthy, and they're kind of moving away from the legendary discussions. But if she can get in and clip Franchon, I think that'll get the talks push the other direction more towards her as a fighter and skill and what she brings to the table. But they're still going to sit here and talk about the stuff to go viral and get the clicks. Now, when it comes to Franchon DEZURN, silence matters. With Franchon, it shocks me when people come out here, but this is social media, they say any damn thing. But it blows my mind when the people say negative stuff about Franchon. Franchon rarely attacks publicly. She avoids most internet fights. The only back and forth you see with her is her and Clarissa going back and forth, but they're just promoting the fight. And she just lets fight speak, man. She like, let my hands do the talking. She get in the ring. And, it is what it is. So the contrast starts to become Clarissa with all the noise surrounding her and the noise that she makes. And then with Franchon being a lot more quiet. And it shows that, one can be very emotional, the other one shows discipline. And what's going to be very interesting is if this fight goes to the judges' scorecards. Because, see, the public, they don't just sit back and judge stats. The public can be judges too. And just like at the end of that fight, there's going to be a scorecard that's going to read however the judges feel the fight went. The public is sitting back and they're being judges too and judging stories and judging what they see. You see, the Muhammad Ali name, the Layla Ali name, but the Ali name overall is something that is not going to go away, especially when it comes to Clarissa Shields. And look, she created that, all right? She created that issue. Whenever some people think about her and think about boxing, they're going to think about the drama where she was going at Layla Ali trying to make a fight and, mentioning her father's name. Clarissa did come out and she's never apologized, but she did say, hey, look, I was just trying to make a fight. It's mental warfare. And a lot of us could understand you're trying to get the fight, but, don't necessarily agree. Now, hold on a second here. Let me do this real quick. Yeah, don't necessarily agree. But I'll say this. Ali was loved because he inspired. Then you have a guy like Mayweather, right? Some people don't like Mayweather, but Mayweather was hated, but he was marketed. Okay? Then you have someone who's very controversial, very outspoken, very aggressive, Mike Tyson. He was feared. But they all had a likable quality. Now, what Clarissa's story is conflict, defense, confrontation. And some people see the likable quality in her, but a lot of others don't see that. And this hurts business. Because it goes back to what I was saying. You got to be likable, man. And promoters have to sell personalities. And for Dimitri Salita, he hasn't really said a whole lot, man. It's been more Win Records kind of taking the reins and doing a lot of the talking and stuff. So it makes you wonder how business-wise things are going to play out. Could be very successful. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. We just have to see it play out. But the promoters sell personalities, networks sell heroes or villains, and then sponsors sell clean images. So constant controversy can be good because I mean it's a very, very high risk. If it all works out, cha-ching ching, Wu-Tang cream, dollar dollar bill, y'all, money's made. If not, bankrupt. All bad. So constant controversy equals risk. People need to understand that the image bleeds into legacy. The image bleeds into legacy, and it's kind of hard to change the way you're viewed and to change your image. It starts with accountability, man. When people talk about her, they mention drama before achievements, especially right now. Over time, that can change. We sat there, we've talked about it on numerous occasions. George Foreman, man, everybody loved that guy. It wasn't always like that. Mike Tyson has always been, I think, feared, but there were people who liked him and loved him, but there were a lot of people who hated him, but now the whole world seemed to love Mike Tyson. So you can change. You can change. But you have to want to change. There's something that happened in those fighters I just mentioned where they recognize, you know what, man, for long-term respect, what I'm doing is dangerous. I'm not happy. Let me tell you something. Fighters are wired differently. But I don't know anyone who wants to be hated. I don't know anyone who wants to be disliked. People want to be liked. Nobody's born into this world wanting to be hated, wanting to be disliked, wanting to be bullied, wanting to be harassed, wanting to be disrespected. Nobody. And even if they feel like it doesn't bother me, it's one thing if one person does it, 10 people do it, 100 people do it. When you got thousands of people doing it, millions of people doing it, that takes a toll on a person. So the psychological layer, it's all interesting. Because I'm going to do like 30 parts. This is just part 1, right? I think there's a psychological layer. The constant arguing suggests. Could be some high sensitivity, always in a defensive posture. And sometimes, man, a need for validation. Doesn't mean a person's weak, but there's some pressure there. So as we get ready to go into part 2, which I'm going to do probably later, I guess the question really is Clarissa her own worst opponent? Like, that's the question. Because there's so many growing distractions. I'm going to talk about this in part 2. And social media is no joke. It's interesting as hell. I'm thinking about writing a goddamn book about it. But to watch how social media operates, shit is a battlefield. But anyway, this is part 1. Shields versus DEZURN. Part 2 is coming. Y'all know what I got to do. Run errands like always. Keep cool, I'm in the breeze.